I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. This is some sick, demented stuff by Donald Trump here. What we are learning is that this classified folder, this folder with classified markings that was turned over to the Department of Justice back in January, Donald Trump was sleeping with it. Yeah. Donald Trump had that classified folder in his bedroom, in his private quarters, according to numerous sources. We're learning a lot about this whole classified folder, how it got to the Department of Justice. And remember Donald Trump's laptop from hell, the fact that Trump has a junior aide who downloaded apparently all of the contents from these classified folders onto his laptop. Yeah, we're learning about that too, but this is all related. So what we are now learning, because we did a prior report about this classified folder that was turned over to the Department of Justice by one of Donald Trump's lawyers, the lawyer by the name of Jim Trusty, back in January. So how was it that the Department of Justice discovered this classified folder, another classified folder, this past January, and this laptop where the contents were downloaded onto? Well, here's what happened. So Donald Trump, rather than allow the Department of Justice and FBI to conduct consensual searches of his premises, the same way that Biden and Pence voluntarily welcomed the Department of Justice and FBI to search their premises just so they could be cooperative and that there would be no issues. That's the way it would normally go down if you were innocent. Okay, but Donald Trump is not innocent. So Donald Trump hired a private security company to conduct these searches, and a lot of information had not been turned over. And so the Department of Justice, you may recall this in one of our prior reports a few months ago, went to Judge Beryl Howell, who's the federal judge overseeing the criminal grand juries in Washington, D.C., including the criminal grand jury investigating Donald Trump for the theft of thousands of government records, and sought a contempt order against Donald Trump for not turning over all of the records and for his conduct in connection with responding to Department of Justice subpoenas. And as I said, everything that Judge Beryl Howell does is done in secret, because grand jury proceedings are always secret, but through sources and reading the tea leaves, one of the reasons that Beryl Howell did not grant a contempt charge right then and there is she basically wanted to encourage the parties before granting a contempt order to try to work it out and figure it out on their own. But also, if Donald Trump's not turning over records or he's hiding over that, it's really not something where you'd have a federal judge be a discovery referee, because at this point, that's obstruction of justice, So I think Judge Beryl Howell was just like, so just charge him for the crime instead of, a contempt order, which may not have, the same type of sting. Just charge him for obstruction. And by the way, they're investigating Donald Trump for obstruction, concealment, mutilation, Espionage Act violations based on all of the conduct related to the August 8th search warrant that's executed at Mar-A-Lago. But anyway, I digress. Through the process that took place after Judge Beryl Howell's hearing, where the contempt order was not yet granted, and the Department of Justice's questioning of this private security company that did the searches for Trump, they learned about this classified folder, a folder with classified markings in Donald Trump's freaking bedroom. In Donald Trump's bedroom. I mean, that's kind of buried in a lot of the reporting about this, but he was keeping the classified folder with him when he slept. How creepy and fascist weirdo these MAGA Republicans are. So why would Donald Trump be sleeping with a classified folder? Well, one of his lawyers went on the news shows this weekend, Timothy Parlatore, and Timothy says it's actually hilarious. It's a hilarious story, everybody. The reason that Donald Trump was sleeping with it was because he used the classified folder to block out the light on his phone. Play the clip.
Now, you also turned over an empty folder marked classified to investigators. Where was this folder and why was it turned over?
The folder is kind of one of the more humorous aspects of this whole thing. This is not a classified folder. This is a folder that when my team went through and searched and they wrote up their report, which we turned over to DOJ, they saw it's a folder, a manila folder that says classified evening summary on it. And it was in the president's bedroom. He has one of those landline telephones next to his bed, and it has a blue light on it, and it keeps him up at night. So he took the manila folder and he put it over it so that it would keep the light down so he could sleep at night. And it's just this folder. It says classified evening summary on it. It is not a classification marking. It's not anything that is controlled in any way. There's nothing illegal about it. There's nothing in it. And when DOJ found out about it, they went crazy. And they said they actually gave me a subpoena to say, give us over this empty folder that means nothing.
How did they find out about a folder on his bed table?
We put it in our report. When we did all of our searches, we wrote up reports on everywhere we searched, everywhere we looked, anything we found, where we found it. And we gave that to them because everything that we've done as part of that search has been in the spirit of full cooperation and compliance. And when they read that and they saw, oh, there's this folder here that is so far outside of the scope of the subpoena or anything else, they demanded it back. And so now the president has to find a different way to keep the blue light out of his lies.
I'm sure he has other options.
Folks, you can't make this stuff up. I mean, these excuses, there is no depth to the depravity of these MAGA Republican sickos. Come on. And then they also learned, though, about this laptop where the contents were downloaded into the laptop of this junior aide. So then what the Department of Justice did, what Jack Smith did, is Jack Smith then issued a subpoena from the grand jury, return that classified folder immediately. And we want return that laptop. And if you don't give us the laptop, we are going to subpoena the aide into the grand jury right now. We want passwords. We want all that information right now. Give it to us. So Donald Trump's lawyers did just that, and the security firm did just that. They had to respond to the subpoena. They got the classified folder from Donald Trump's bedroom, returned that over, and then separately, not at Mar-A-Lago, but in a separate area, they then returned the laptop, the Donald Trump's laptop from hell, where classified records that should never have been given to a junior aide, a current junior aide, were possessed. So that is ultimately how the Department of Justice has gotten that information and got that classified folder. It was through that subpoena process. Now, Special Counsel Jack Smith is not playing around, folks. You want to talk about the people who have been either subpoenaed, who have gone before the grand jury over the past, what we've learned about over the past few weeks. Okay, can we talk about the fact that Christina Bobb, Donald Trump's lawyer and custodian of records, went before the grand jury? Evan Corcoran, Donald Trump's lead lawyer on the document issue, went before the grand jury. Can we talk about the fact that former Vice President Pence was subpoenaed? Can we talk about the fact that former NSA the former head of the NSA, Robert O'Brien, was subpoenaed? Can we talk about the fact that the person in Trump's inner circle who told Donald Trump that he could steal these records or said that that was fine, as well as who wrote the script for Donald Trump to declare victory even when he lost the 2020 election? Tom Fenton, the wannabe lawyer who runs a group called Judicial Watch, who's not actually a lawyer, who files all these bogus cases. Fenton went before the grand jury. Stephen Miller, Trump's speechwriter and Trump's top aide and fascist, went before the grand jury. Mark Short, Pat Cipollone, Patrick Philbin, Greg Jacob, Chad Wolf interviewed with the Department of Justice. Ken Cuccinelli went before the grand jury. A lot of activity going on here, folks, and all of that activity is indicative of indictments are coming. I believe that was going to happen in May, possibly June. Some people viewed it earlier. For me, just seeing where the investigation is, seeing where these subpoenas are out, I still think May, June seems like a likely date. The question's ultimately going to be, to no fault of Jack Smith's, but how quickly can some of the fights that are inevitably now going to happen? Trump asserting executive privilege with former Vice President Pence, Trump asserting attorney-client privilege with Christina Bobb and Evan Corcoran. How long is that going to take to resolve so that Smith can dot all of his I's and cross all of his T's? But after that, that's when indictments are coming, folks. We definitely see an intensified pace to Jack Smith's criminal investigation right now. And all of this, very big news, but specifically the fact that Donald Trump sleeping with classified records, horrific, bizarre. But is that really shocking, though, at this point? There's no low to this sicko. I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Hit subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're on our way to 1 million subscribers thanks to your awesome support. So please hit subscribe right now. In addition to subscribing, please check us out at patreon.com/MeidasTouch, patreon.com/MeidasTouch. We've got a lot of exclusive content that you can only get on our Patreon, but most importantly, it helps grow this independent platform. So check us out, patreon.com/MeidasTouch. And if you want to, check out Killing County. It's on Hulu. I executive produced it with Colin Kaepernick and a great team of others at ABC and Hulu. It focuses on the crime, corruption, and cover-up in Bakersfield, in Kevin McCarthy's district. It is a very, very, very kind of serious, but ultimately, I think, inspirational look when you see how these families come together there to stand up against the injustices taking place. I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Again, hit subscribe. Thank you all so much.
The best part of waking up? MAGA Tears in my cup. Check out the new MAGA Tears mug available now at store.meidastouch.com. That's store.meidastouch.com.